Greetings, all of you beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in to the USA Hemp Revival, the Georgia Hemp Economic Revival Organization. We just got some breaking news, and I think it's just, I would like this to just be 10 to 15 minutes where we go over what is going on, okay? First of all, once again, thank you for being here. My name is Aviva, and I should be sleeping right now. But alas, the hemp revival calls. So, if you're new to this channel, please do subscribe and like this video and share it with a friend. So, just real quick, let's digest what's going on. First of all, an executive order has been issued by Governor, here, let me share this. Governor Mike DeWINE, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Ohio, to ban the intoxicating hemp products. And he says some interesting things in the order. Let's share it. Let's make it bigger. He says that it's a declaration of an adulterated consumer product emergency, whereas hemp is a legal non-intoxicating plant, and whereas numerous manufacturers create intoxicating hemp by extracting compounds or creating new compounds from hemp that cause a higher psychoactive effect, similar to marijuana. Whereas the availability and abuse of intoxicating hemp products are a serious threat to public health and safety, and whereas intoxicating hemp is being marketed in stores across Ohio as candy, gummy candy, cookies, gummy candy, and other products that are attractive to children, and the packaging often mimics commercially available candy and cookies, and whereas Ohio children are currently legally able to purchase intoxicating hemp products without presenting any form of age verification or identification. Whereas intoxicating hemp products available for sale in Ohio are typically not placed in child-resistant packaging, and whereas intoxicating hemp products are currently being advertised and sold in retail establishments across Ohio, including near schools, playgrounds, and churches, and whereas there are no mandatory testing protocols in Ohio to ensure the safety of intoxicating hemp. That's not good. Whereas when subject to testing, intoxicating hemp products have been found to contain contaminants such as pesticides, mold, and solvents. It's not very good. Whereas marijuana typically contains a very small amount of delta-8 THC and larger amounts of delta-9, in contrast, intoxicating hemp products contain much larger amounts of delta-8 THC. It is therefore obvious that delta-8 THC poisonings are a result of intoxicating hemp and not marijuana. This is confusing to me because I don't think that's true. I think that needs to be looked at. I think that it's a very small amount in both hemp and marijuana, and I think that a lot of it is synthetically made, and that's where it is dangerous. But let's continue. Please tell me in the comment below, anyone who knows about that one. Whereas the foregoing demonstrate an immediate need to address the dangers of intoxicating hemp and its serious threat to public health and safety, and whereas there's a need to clearly prohibit the manufacture, distribution, and or sale of intoxicating hemp in Ohio by further clarifying in the Ohio Administrative Code that intoxicating hemp is not hemp or a hemp product. This clarification will not impede the manufacture, distribution, or sale of hemp or a hemp product and does not conflict with the code because although the addition of hemp or a hemp product does not adulterate a consumer product, the addition of intoxicating hemp does. And whereas, okay, I'm just going to skip some of this because it's very legalese and I don't speak that language. Now, this is interesting. Now, therefore, Okay, the Ohio Department of Agriculture and the Ohio Department of Health have requested an adulterated consumer product emergency for consumer products containing intoxicating hemp. So I think it's important to recognize that this is not coming from just the governor. This is coming from a request. So let's continue. And I'll also put the link in the comments so you all can read this a little bit easier. Just want to continue with this. Okay. Now, therefore, I, Mike DeWine, Governor of the state of Ohio, have determined upon the request of the Ohio Department of Agriculture that an emergency exists requiring the immediate amendment of rules so-and-so. So he files this executive order today. No, wait, yesterday. I signed this executive order on October 8th, 2025 in Columbus, Ohio. This executive order will go into effect on October 14th. That gives all of these hemp businesses in Ohio 6 days at 12:01 a.m. And it will expire 120 days from the effective date of the emergency rules or upon the adoption of the rules through the normal process, whichever is sooner. So therefore, I do hereby order and direct that there is a reasonable basis to believe that intoxicating hemp and intoxicating hemp products have been adulterated and that further sale. So this is interesting. It's almost like a recall, but a very generalized recall. So now he further says that any retailer who possesses consumer products containing intoxicating hemp must segregate these units from other merchandise and dispossess them in a lawful manner. Return them to the manufacturer, supplier, hold them for disposition by law enforcement officers, officials, or officials of local health departments. So they need to give them. This is interesting and kind of creepy. I hereby direct that this adulterated consumer product emergency order be filed with the Secretary of State, Department of Agriculture, Department of Health, and the State Board Pharmacy. Okay, that is pretty much that. But the U.S. Hemp Roundtable not only has something to say about this, and I want to read their letter next. But here's the twist. Several businesses or organizations, I'm going to get to that in a minute, in Ohio have actually filed a restraining order and an injunction against this ban, which I don't know if this has ever actually happened. I know that, there's been several injunctions in different states that have happened from the General Assembly of that state creating a law, but I don't know if there's ever been one against an executive order. So this is history in the making, people. This is intense, right? So let's read this together. Okay, make it bigger for you. The U.S. Hemp Roundtable strongly condemns the order banning legal hemp products issued by Ohio Governor DeWine. So what do they say about this? The U.S. Hemp Roundtable today expressed deep concern and strong opposition to Governor Mike DeWine's recent executive order that effectively bans the sale of lawful hemp-derived products across the state for a 60-day period. Industry advocates warn that the move will devastate small businesses and undermine years of bipartisan work to establish a safe, regulated hemp marketplace. Governor DeWine's executive order is a misguided overreach that threatens to shutter hundreds of Ohio small businesses, I think they meant to say shatter, and wipe out millions in legitimate economic activity, said Jonathan Miller, General Counsel of the U.S. Hemp Roundtable. We are outraged that the governor is attempting to bypass the Ohio legislature and misuse executive powers to deliver a crushing, job-killing blow to the state's hemp industry. Hemp products are legal under both Ohio and federal law. This order simply isn't supported by statute or precedent. The U.S. Hemp Roundtable emphasized that while it supports reasonable safeguards to ensure product safety and prevent youth access, the 21 and over law that we have and whatnot, the governor's sweeping ban goes far beyond protecting consumers. We share the governor's goal of keeping unsafe or youth-targeted products off the shelves, Miller continued, but this action unfairly targets responsible American hemp companies that follow the law and operate transparently. Instead of prohibition, Ohio should pursue regulation, setting age limits, mandating independent third-party testing, requiring accurate labeling, and ensuring products are made with American-grown hemp. So basically, by following the federal law, maybe he could do an executive order saying whatever products don't follow the federal law. Anyway, sorry. For months, the U.S. Hemp Roundtable has collaborated with Ohio lawmakers to advance legislation creating a comprehensive regulatory framework for hemp-derived products. The organization reaffirmed its commitment to working with the General Assembly to enact fair, balanced, and science-based rules that protect consumers while preserving small business investment and jobs. This is very important. Economic development is not only so important for communities, it's a public safety issue when someone's economics are threatened. So, yes, there are some people who have dangerous products. Maybe they didn't invest in a business. Maybe they didn't invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in a storefront and they're just selling these products on the street, gas stations. But the folks that have invested their life savings in a business, why are you not seeing that this can destroy their lives, Governor DeWine? That's the cognitive disconnect that I see. He closes his letter by saying, "We implore Ohio legislators to reject this executive overreach and continue developing a thoughtful, evidence-based approach that distinguishes hemp from marijuana, supports responsible businesses, and respects the intent of the 2018 Farm Bill and Ohio's own Senate Bill 57, Miller concluded. So, I don't like that they're still using the word marijuana, but this is cannabis cognitive disconnect in its finest. This is Humpty Dumpty that fell off the wall and everyone's trying to put him back together again. The cannabis plant has been blown apart, like literally just like dynamited. This dynamite plant. And if you saw my testimony in 2022, I think dividing it into hemp and marijuana is like Solomon being faced with the case of two women claiming the same baby. Our baby is cannabis in all aspects of it. How can you cut it up into all these different things? We need to free the plant completely. We need to see that the dragon is real. The dragon in the room that everyone's saying doesn't exist. And they're poking their heads around it, and it eventually grows bigger than the house, and there's no room for anyone but the dragon. The dragon is that it should never have been prohibited in the first place. We're cleaning up a mess of a little over 100 years from when it was banned. And what's the best way to go about it? It's a very confusing, painful, chaotic, and cruel situation that we're all living with right now. And so there's going to be lawsuit after lawsuit, because so many human rights are continuing to be violated in this supposed free market, in this supposed free country. These violations continue to happen, and it needs to stop. How do we stop it as a people? Awareness, education. Maybe we need to have a Supreme Court case about banning cannabis, not just hemp products. I absolutely empathize with the confusion, the fact that products are being made and they are harming children. They are. No one's denying that there's bad actors in every industry, not just hemp, but our food industry. I wonder if a solution is to just recall specific products. Like if you find a specific product, like the picture that you showed, and you find that that product is tested and it has mold, recall that product. Don't recall an entire industry. And I think the reason why so many mistakes are being made legally in all these states to ban stuff is because there's this emotional panic going on because of these individual products that I think can just be recalled individually, like the batch of cantaloupe that they find E. coli in, like the batch of spinach that they might find salmonella in. You get my point. Recall the products, not the industry. That's my take on it. So just 5 more minutes. Kitty Cat just walked in and gave me that 5-minute warning. She's like, you said 15 minutes. I know, it's been like 20. I want to share I want to read this one with you. Alrighty, so here we have the official restraining order, and let's just read a little bit of it. So we've got in Franklin County, Ohio, we've got the Titan Logistics Group, LLC. This is the lawyers. We've got the Fumi Smoke and Vape. And we've got the Invicta Partners, Nutraceuticals, Verse, Mike DeWine, in his official capacity as governor of the state of Ohio and the Ohio Department of Agriculture. So they're not talking about the Department of Health. Those are the defendants. And this is their motion for temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. Plaintiffs, Titan Logistics, blah, 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 blah. The reasons in support of this motion are set forth more fully in the accompanying memorandum. Okay. In January 2024, Governor DeWine requested the legislature take action to regulate the sale of hemp products. In doing so, he admitted he did not have authority to ban or regulate the sale of hemp products, and it was a matter for legislative action. Now, because the legislature has not acted, Governor DeWine took matters in his own hands and unlawfully issued Executive Order number 2025-05D. His actions are a clear usurpation of the legislature's power. Further, the executive order conflicts with duly enacted statutes that authorize the sale of hemp and hemp products. The statement of facts. Hemp is a lawful product authorized by federal and state law. The 2018 Farm Bill allows products made with Delta-9 tetra, blah, 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 blah. So SB 57, their bill, in 2019 did not institute any significant regulation on the sale of hemp products in the revised code. That deliberate decision from the legislature may have caught the attention. The personal opposition to a law is insufficient to grant a governor authority to ban a product that Ohio's legislature deems lawful. In fact, nearly 2 years ago, Governor DeWine acknowledged in a press conference that he lacks the authority to ban hemp products. I would be very happy to have a ban. This is up to the legislature. He wants to keep Ohio kids from getting diet weed. I cannot do anything without action by the state legislator. So there's a few examples where he said this. Despite his initial comments, Governor DeWine issued the executive order. Ironically, Governor DeWine limited his own emergency rulemaking authority under RC 119.03 when he removed hemp from the controlled substance list by signing SB 57 on July 30th, 2019. So have we done that in Georgia? That's interesting. The executive order also comes as the legislature is considering amendments to Ohio's hemp laws that would either ban most non-marijuana dispensary sales of hemp-derived products or regulate them in a manner that would allow traditional retailers to sell hemp products. A clear indicate that regulating the sale of hemp products is a matter for lawmakers. Legislative deliberations on potential hemp reforms have been carefully considered and debated for nearly 2 years, but the lack of passing legislation does not vest Governor DeWine with the authority to stand in the shoes of lawmakers and enact his preferred public policy. To allow otherwise would violate long-standing principles of the separation of powers. Law and argument. A, legal standard. A temporary order may be granted, restraining an act when it appears by the petition that the plaintiff is entitled to the relief demanded, and such relief or any part of it consists in restraining the continuance of such act, the continuance of which during the litigation would produce great or irreparable injury to the plaintiff, or when during the litigation it appears that the defendant is doing, threatens, or is about to do such act in violation of the plaintiff's right respecting the subject of the action and tending to render the judgment ineffectual. In determining whether to grant injunctive relief, a court must consider 4 factors. 1, the likelihood that the applicant will prevail in the merits. 2, a demonstration that the applicant will suffer irreparable injury if the relief is not granted. And 3, whether third parties will suffer harm if the injunction is granted. And 4, for example, consumers, right? whether the public interest will be served if the injunction is granted. The overreaching goal of injunctive relief is to preserve the status quo pending a final adjudication of a case on its merits. The most important function of a temporary restraining order is to serve as a means of preserving the court's ability to grant effective, meaningful relief after a determination of the merits. A temporary injunction is necessary to preserve the status quo that has been in effect since 2019 and prevent any actions of the parties from making null and an unenforceable final judgment. Y'all, this goes on for 25 pages. So I'm going to link this in our comments here. Okay. And let's see, I'm going to link the letter that I read you from the U.S. Roundtable. I don't think I linked that. So this will be very interesting to see what happens. I'm going to wrap this up. This is going to be extremely interesting to see. I know, kitty cat, it's time to go. Do you want to say hi to everyone? Meow, meow. You want to come up here? She says, Mommy, you're a workaholic. It is really interesting how folks, many legislators, did not seem to know that when legalizing hemp in the 2018 Farm Bill, it included cannabinoids. I don't even think they used the word cannabinoid in the executive order. Did he? Cannabinoids can be considered intoxicating. Like I said, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. We all got to put these pieces together, everyone. We all got to put the pieces together. Cannabinoids include CBD, CBG, all that stuff. We need serious education. I challenge you all who have gone to cannabis college, and many of you have, to put a PowerPoint together, a 5-minute PowerPoint explaining what cannabinoids are. There still seems to be miseducation, lack of education, propaganda, and we've got an opportunity to clarify the confusion. We do. Some of you might be confused why I'm wearing a glove. I actually recently learned that touching the mouse and the keyboards and whatnot can actually put the EMFs on our body. So it seems to help me not feel as much stress when I'm working at the computer. And I just don't feel like putting 2 gloves on. Things like that. Have conversations with your legislator. Clear things up. I can't even tell you, this has been a monumental year for me. I've been going down there more than ever, thanks to y'all's donations. It really does help me to afford the parking and all that stuff. I mean, I literally have had conversations with chairmen who didn't know that flour can have low THC. He said to me, he thought that flour was always more intoxicating than the medicinal products that are being created, the medicinal edibles and oils and gummies. So give your legislator a call. Tell them that. Tell them they don't have to be scared. You know, tell them to look at it like a vaccine. Take a little bit of it to understand what it is. It's not going to kill you. Experience it for yourself. And then you will have immunity to the ridiculous idea that punity is necessary for a whole entire plant when there's just a few products that need to be recalled. So I'm going to get off my soapbox here, and I'm going to get myself the very needed rest that I need to regulate me. And I hope that Ohio finds what they need to regulate their hemp industry. And I sure hope that Georgia finds a way to free the flower and regulate our cannabis industry. Because I think we're done on some level. We are evolving. We're done with calling it marijuana and hemp. It is a cannabis industry. It is all inclusive. And I think we're ready as a culture to figure out another language on how to distinguish, how to respect, how to honor this sacred plant. And I know a lot of you who are into religious cannabis and using it for all of the industrial purposes like I am, do see even medical cannabis, even recreational adult use cannabis in California. Every single kind of cannabis can be disrespected, can have mold in it, depending on how it's processed. It's all what's the word? Anything is possible. It's all subject to flaw. Even home grow. But home grow is probably the purest way to honor this plant and this herb. Keep it in the kitchen, the herbal apothecary with all the other herbs. They're amazing herbs. Cannabis isn't the only one. Let's free the cannabis and free all the herbs. Good luck, Ohio. We will see how this goes. Y'all take it easy.